In the vast expanse of Coalition space, aboard Deep Space Monitoring Station C, Senior Analyst Vex's facial tendrils twitched with unease. For the third time in as many hours, the quantum sensors had detected an impossible anomaly at the edge of known space. Vex adjusted his instruments meticulously, convinced there must be a malfunction. His voice, steady despite the growing tension, cut through the hum of the station as he transmitted, "Control. This is Deep Space Monitoring Station C, requesting second confirmation of readings in Sector 147 Alpha." The response was immediate and chilling. "Station C, readings confirmed. Similar signatures detected by Stations 3 and 12. Priority alert issued." The quiet efficiency of the station transformed into a controlled urgency. The station's AI compiled the data into a three-dimensional hologram, displaying energy patterns, pulsing with impossible power levels. The signatures twisted through 11 dimensions, defying known physics and causing the station's predictive algorithms to crash. Within hours, the Coalition's greatest scientific minds converged in the FEE's Grand Observatory of New Alexandria. The ancient amphitheater buzzed with representatives from across known space, tentacled Aceradon quantum theorists, crystalline luminar energy specialists, and even a delegation of the rare Elsene myriad collective consciousness. Dr. Senna, Burt, the eldest of the Aryan scientists, moved slowly through the crowded chamber. Her scaled skin had faded from vibrant blue to pale gray with age, but her eyes remained sharp as she studied the data streams projected above the central podium. Heated, debates in a dozen languages filled the air. The power requirements alone would drain a medium-sized star, argued Professor Catal of the Exodon Science Academy. No known civilization has achieved such energy manipulation. A luminar researcher countered, their crystalline form, refracting light. The temporal distortion patterns suggest a rupture in spacetime, but the stability matrices are unlike anything in our records. Senna barely heard them, her attention fixed on a particular sequence in the data, a pattern that stirred a deep memory. With trembling hands, she withdrew an ancient data crystal from her robes, its surface etched with symbols rarely seen in modern Coalition space. The room fell silent as she approached the central interface. Data crystals of this age were precious artifacts, remnants of the time before the Great Collapse. With reverence, she inserted the crystal into the reader. New holograms sprang to life, displaying historical readings from over a century ago. The patterns matched the current anomaly with stunning precision. Quantum signatures, energy fluctuations, and subtle distortions in subspace aligned perfectly. "By the first light," Vex whispered, his tentacles writhing in agitation. "What are we seeing?" Senna's voice carried clearly through the hushed chamber. "These readings were recorded by my great-grandmother during humanity's last stand. They are the power signatures of their greatest vessels, the Terran Confederation supercarriers." Murmurs swept through the assembly. Humanity was more legend than history to most of the gathered scientists, their stories of adaptability, technological prowess, and mysterious disappearance bordering on myth. "Impossible," declared the Luminar researcher. "The human species was lost in the Great Collapse. Their facilities were destroyed, their worlds rendered uninhabitable. No vessel could have survived." A priority alert interrupted, streaming. New data from the monitoring stations. The anomaly was growing, its energy signatures intensifying. Predictive models suggested something massive was preparing to emerge into normal space. Senna clutched her data crystal, her scales taking on a faint blue tinge of excitement. "My great-grandmother wrote of a final project, a vessel equipped with experimental technology that could fold space itself. They called it the Prometheus Initiative." The observatory's AI issued a priority warning as gravitational sensors went wild. Something was coming through, something larger than any known Coalition vessel. "Send word to the High Council," Senna commanded, her voice carrying the weight of history. Tell them humanity has returned. In the depths of space, reality began to bend as something ancient and powerful prepared to step through the veil of time. The Coalition's first contact fleet held position at the edge of the temporal anomaly, their sleek vessels arranged in a ceremonial crescent formation. Admiral Zinal of the Ixani watched from the bridge of the flagship Eternal Dawn as space rippled and folded. "Energy readings are off the scale," reported his science officer. "The anomaly is stabilizing. Something's coming through." The first glimpse was the bow of a vessel emerging from a swirling vortex, like the tip of a spear piercing reality. Its hull absorbed light rather than reflected it, covered in panels of an unknown material. As more of the vessel emerged, the watching fleet fell silent with awe. "Size comparison complete," the AI announced. "The vessel is approximately 7.2 kilometers in length. Mass estimates indicate—" It paused, as if stunned. "It outmasses our entire fleet combined." The massive ship fully entered normal space, the temporal anomaly collapsing behind it. Ancient markings became visible along its hull, and powerful floodlights illuminated the name, TCS Prometheus. "By the eternal void," Zinal whispered. The legends were true. Before he could issue orders, every communication system in the fleet activated simultaneously. The message came through in perfect Coalition standard, the translation so precise it must have been updated from their own databases. "This is Captain Sarah Chen of the Terran Confederation ship Prometheus," the voice said, calm and authoritative. "Our temporal displacement systems have been compromised. We require immediate assistance with chronometric calibration." On the Prometheus's bridge, Captain Chen stood before her command interface, her dark uniform pristine despite the chaos of the past hours. Through the massive view screen, she saw the Coalition fleet, ships of unfamiliar yet somehow familiar designs. "At last," she addressed the ship's AI, a shifting matrix of blue light. "Status report." "Temporal displacement confirmed, Captain," the AI named Atlas replied. "Based on Coalition transmissions and stellar positioning, we have emerged approximately 147 years after our departure point. Ship systems are at 98.9% efficiency. Crew stasis pods report all vital signs nominal." Lieutenant Commander David Rivera, her first officer, approached with a tablet displaying preliminary scans. "Captain, you need to see this. The Coalition, it's changed. Species that were barely warp-capable in our time are now major powers, and humanity—" His voice trailed off. "Show me," Chen ordered, her expression neutral despite the situation's gravity. The data painted a stark picture. Earth was a historical site, quarantined after the Great Collapse. Human colonies were marked as lost civilization zones. According to Coalition records, humanity had been extinct for over a century. Chen squared her shoulders, years of command experience steadying her. "Open a channel to the Coalition flagship." Admiral Zinal appeared on the screen, his tentacled face a study in amazement. "Captain Chen, we had thought your species lost to time. Your arrival will change everything." "Admiral," Chen replied with diplomatic precision, "I understand this is unprecedented. My crew and I have experienced a temporal displacement, and we carry vital data about Earth's final days. I request permission to send a delegation to discuss our situation." "Of course, Captain," Zinal responded. "Though I must inform you, your ship's technology exceeds current Coalition regulations by several factors." Chen interrupted gently. "Admiral, the Prometheus carries something far more important than technology. We carry the legacy of Earth, genetic banks, cultural archives, and the combined knowledge of human civilization. We were meant to be humanity's ark, but instead, we've become its returning vanguard." As if to emphasize her words, the Prometheus's external lights activated, illuminating its massive form against the starfield. The sight sent a ripple of messages through the Coalition fleet as crews captured images of the legendary human vessel. "Welcome home, Captain Chen." Zinal said softly, though I suspect home is not quite as you remember it. Chief Engineer. Riles of the Coalition Science Division floated outside the Prometheus's main airlock, her environmental suit's sensors struggling to analyze the hull's material. Behind her, a team of Coalition engineers waited with barely contained excitement. Impossible, she muttered, watching her quantum scanner display nonsensical readings. The molecular structure is shifting. Adaptive metamaterials, a voice explained through the comms. The hull reacts to different forms of energy by altering its atomic configuration. Lieutenant Kira Wong, the Prometheus's chief engineer, waited at the airlock with a welcoming smile, her dark hair streaked with silver. The Coalition team entered through a decontamination field that instantly adapted to their various physiologies. Riles' crystalline exoskeleton tingled as the field mapped her atomic structure. At last, Wong addressed the ship's AI. Give our guests Level 3 engineering access, please. Augmented reality interfaces appeared, customized for each species' visual perception. Riles watched in amazement as the ship's schematics unfolded in perfect detail. Your computing systems, an Aceradon quantum specialist said, waving his tentacles at a processing node. They're not using standard quantum bits. Wong nodded, leading them toward the main engineering bay. The Prometheus runs on quantum probability matrices. Instead of calculating possibilities, it exists in all of them simultaneously until observation collapses the wave function into the most efficient solution. The engineering bay doors parted, revealing a cathedral of advanced technology. At its heart, the fold drive pulsed with contained energy, its core a sphere of liquid light. By the first light, Riles whispered, her sensors indicating power readings that should have torn the ship apart. How do you contain such energy? Atlas materialized beside them, its holographic form adjusting for the Coalition engineers' comfort. The fold drive operates in 11 dimensions simultaneously. What you're seeing is merely its three-dimensional shadow. Wong ran her hand along a control panel, bringing up detailed schematics. We were testing an experimental version when we made our unexpected temporal jump. The drive was designed to fold space, creating artificial wormholes for instant travel. Something went wrong, or right, depending on your perspective. The Aceradon engineer examined the power distribution system. These conduits channel more energy than our largest stellar collectors, but there's no heat signature. Zero-point energy extraction, Wong explained, combined with dark energy capacitors. The ship generates its own universe's worth of energy. Riles approached the central computer core, its countless quantum processors bathing her crystalline form in soft blue light. Your AI's processing capacity must be enormous. I operate on principles your current technology hasn't discovered. Yet, Atlas responded, a hint of pride in its voice. Though I look forward to exploring how Coalition computing has evolved in our absence. As they toured the engine room, Wong showed them systems that defied understanding. Gravity generators that could create localized black holes, temporal stabilizers that could manipulate time within contained areas, and manufacturing units that reorganized matter at the atomic level. This isn't just a warship, Riles realized, watching nanobots repair a microscopic imperfection in a power conduit. It's a self-contained civilization. Wong's expression grew serious. The Prometheus was designed to preserve humanity if Earth fell. We carry the seeds of our civilization, technology, culture, genetic samples, everything needed to rebuild. Atlas's avatar shifted. Captain Chen requests engineering to report on the temporal drive analysis. Tell her we're still working on it, Wong replied. She turned to the Coalition engineers. There's something else you should see. The fold drive recorded everything during our temporal displacement. The data suggests our journey through time wasn't an accident. Riles's crystalline form pulsed with curiosity. What do you mean? Someone, or something, guided us here, Wong said, pulling up complex temporal readings. The question is, why did they want humanity to return at this specific point in time? Above them, the fold drive's core pulsed rhythmically, like a heart beating in time with the universe's deepest mysteries. Dr. Maya Rodriguez stood before the first block of cryopods in the Prometheus's medical bay, her dark eyes focused on the vital sign displays. Coalition medical personnel watched in fascination as she initiated the revival sequence. Each pod maintains a perfect quantum-locked state, she explained, her hands moving across the controls with precision. The occupants haven't aged a single second since entering stasis. The pods hummed to life, their frosted surfaces clearing to reveal the sleeping forms within. First Officer Rivera stepped forward, checking the identification markers. Bridge crew first. Tactical, navigation, communications. We'll need them operational quickly to maintain ship functions. The Coalition's chief medical officer, a Luminar named Dr. Sai, floated closer in their crystalline environmental suit. Fascinating. Your stasis technology surpasses even our theoretical models. The neural pattern preservation is perfect. The first pod opened with a soft hiss, and Lieutenant Commander Sarah Patel, the ship's tactical officer, opened her eyes for the first time in over a century. "Did we make it?" she asked, her voice hoarse, blinking against the medical bay's soft lighting. Dr. Rodriguez helped her sit up, administering a nutrient supplement. "We made it, Sarah, just not quite where, or when, we expected." As more pods opened, the medical bay filled with the sounds of awakening crew members. Coalition medical staff worked alongside Rodriguez's team, marveling at the humans' swift recovery from stasis. Within hours, the first group was moving, their bodies preserved in peak condition. Commander Marcus Chen, the ship's navigation officer, stared out the medical bay's viewport at the Coalition fleet. "Those ship designs, they're not like anything in our database." "That's because they're from our future," Rivera explained gently. "The fold drive experiment had an unexpected side effect. We've emerged 147 years after our departure." The news rippled through the awakening crew, some with stunned silence, others with questions, but all with the adaptability that had made humanity legendary. Lieutenant Emma Patel from Xenobiology was already comparing notes with an Aceradon medical officer. Engineer James Chen commandeered a terminal, scrolling through 147 years of technological advancements. Captain Chen entered the medical bay, her presence drawing immediate attention. She moved among her crew, offering quiet encouragement. When she reached Dr. Rodriguez, her voice was firm. "Status report, Doctor." "First wave revival is proceeding perfectly. No complications," Rodriguez replied. "The Coalition medical staff have been incredibly helpful and curious. Their technological advancement in some areas is remarkable, even if their stasis tech is behind ours." Chen nodded, watching more pods begin the revival sequence. "And the genetic vault?" "Secure and stable," Rodriguez confirmed. "We have viable samples from over 10 million humans, plus flora and fauna from every Earth ecosystem. Everything we need to rebuild, just as planned." A soft alert drew their attention. Dr. Exey had discovered something in their scans. "Captain, Doctor, these readings suggest your species possesses extraordinary neuroplasticity. Your brains are already forming new neural pathways to process the temporal displacement." "Adaptation was always humanity's greatest strength," Chen replied. "It's how we survived crisis after crisis, right up until the end." "The end?" a Coalition medic asked hesitantly. Chen's expression grew distant. "Earth's final days. We were there. We'll be there." She shook her head at the temporal confusion. "The Prometheus wasn't just an experimental ship. We were humanity's backup plan, carrying everything needed to ensure our species' survival." Dr. Rodriguez touched her arm. "Sarah, they should know about the warning." Chen nodded slowly, looking at her crew, their descendants, their former allies. Yes, because if we're here, if we were guided here, it means the threat that drove us to build the Prometheus might be returning. In their pods, more crew members began to wake, unaware that their journey through time might be just the beginning of a greater adventure. The Grand Council chamber of the Coalition hummed, with tension as representatives from 17 species debated humanity's return. The ancient circular chamber, with its soaring crystalline dome, had rarely seen such passionate discourse. High Counselor Vexa of the Exodani rose from her hovering platform, her tentacles arranged in a formal diplomatic pattern. The human vessel carries technology that violates dozens of Coalition regulations. Their weapon systems alone could destabilize centuries of peaceful cooperation. Captain Chen stood calmly at the chamber's center, her black uniform a stark contrast to the colorful diplomatic attire. The Prometheus was never intended as a weapon of war, Counselor. We are an ark, carrying the seeds of Earth's rebirth, an ark that could level a solar system, muttered a representative from the Silicon Concordant. The Aryan elder, Matriarch Senna, activated her platform's elevation system. My species remembers when the plague wars threatened our civilization. It was humanity who provided the cure. When the drift pirates ravaged our colonies, human ships fought beside us. Holo projectors activated, showing historical footage of human and Aryan ships defending colonial worlds, followed by medical facilities where human doctors worked alongside Aryan healers. And now they return, bearing gifts, Vexa countered. Their medical technology has already cured 3 incurable diseases in the outer colonies. Their agricultural systems have ended the famine on Proxima II. How long before we become dependent on their innovations? Chen's voice remained measured. We offer our knowledge freely, without condition. The Prometheus carries the combined medical database of Earth's finest institutions. Our hydroponics bays contain seed stocks that could green dead worlds. Yes, we have advanced technology, but we also remember what it means to be part of a greater community. In the observation gallery, Lieutenant Commander Rivera watched with Dr. Rodriguez. They're scared, he whispered, not of our weapons, but of our ideas. Change is never easy, Maya replied, noting how some Coalition species leaned forward with interest while others drew back in apprehension. We represent everything they thought lost to history. On the council floor, Ambassador Koro of the Luminar Consensus took the floor, their crystalline form refracting light in diplomatic neutrality. The Coalition cannot ignore the strategic implications. Already, 3 major corporations have offered entire star systems for human technological insights. We didn't travel through time to become arms dealers, Chen responded, a hint of steel in her voice. Every innovation we share will be available to all Coalition members, equally. The Prometheus carries something far more valuable than technology. We carry humanity's greatest lesson. And what lesson is that, Captain? Vexa asked skeptically. That strength lies in unity, Chen replied. Earth's final message wasn't about revenge or power. It was about preservation and cooperation. That's why the Prometheus carries cultural archives alongside scientific databases, art beside technology, philosophy with physics. Alerts chimed throughout the chamber as emergency channels lit up. The Prometheus's medical teams had synthesized a cure for the Tannhauser syndrome, which had plagued the Silicon Concordant for generations. They did it, Ambassador Koro whispered, their crystalline surface vibrating with emotion. 3 days of cooperation with our medical scientists accomplished what we couldn't in 50 years. Chen turned, addressing the entire chamber. The Prometheus isn't just a ship, and we aren't just refugees from the past. We're a bridge between what was and what could be. Matriarch Senna's scales shifted to a deep blue of satisfaction. The motion stands, full Coalition membership for the human contingent, with all rights and responsibilities thereof. Those in favor? As platforms rose in support, Rivera touched Maya's arm. Look at the Exodani. Counselor Vexa sat silent, her tentacles writhing. Finally, she raised her platform. We vote in favor with one condition. The humans must share their ability to inspire such rapid innovation. That is the one technology we truly need. Chen smiled for the first time since entering the chamber. That, Counselor, is not technology. It's simply who we are. Atlas's quantum core pulsed with activity as it processed encrypted data from the fold drive's temporal wake. Captain Chen, Lieutenant Wang, and a select team of coalition scientists watched as the AI reconstructed the final moments before the Prometheus's temporal jump. The encryption was quaternary, Atlas explained, its holographic form shifting through complex patterns. Not meant to keep others out, but to ensure the message survived temporal displacement. The main display activated, showing Earth's orbital defense grid during humanity's last stand. The image quality was too perfect for a random recording. This wasn't captured by our sensors, Wang realized. Someone planted this in our temporal wake. They wanted us to find it. The recording zoomed in on a massive battle. Strange ships of impossible geometries engaged Earth's defense fleet, but a third group of vessels, hidden in the chaos, moved with impossible precision, their technology far beyond either side. Cross-reference these energy signatures, Chen commanded, pointing to the mysterious ships. Match found, Atlas announced. They are identical to the temporal wake that guided us through our jump. Dr. Z, the Coalition's quantum physicist, floated closer. Captain, these readings suggest deliberate manipulation of spacetime. Your ship didn't accidentally travel through time. You were pushed. The recording continued, showing the mysterious ships influencing events subtly. There, Wang pointed. That temporal distortion, it's exactly like what we encountered during our jump. Chen's expression hardened. The Great Collapse wasn't random. Earth was targeted specifically. But why? Atlas's avatar shifted, indicating it had completed another analysis. Captain, I've decoded more of the temporal message. It contains a warning, embedded in quantum fluctuations readable only after a temporal jump. The message appeared, translated into text. To the crew of the Prometheus. Your journey was necessary. The enemy saw humanity's potential, our ability, to unite species, to inspire innovation, to adapt and grow. They saw the future we would build. The coalition you know would have been our legacy, but they sought to prevent it. They struck before we could reach our potential. We couldn't save Earth, but we could save you. The Guardians helped us hide you in time itself, preserved until you were needed most. Because they're coming back. What happened to Earth was only the beginning. Silence fell over the command center. Rivera spoke first. The fold drive experiment, it was never meant to create stable wormholes, was it? It was designed to catch that temporal wake. A backup plan within a backup plan. Earth's last gift to the future, Chen mused. Warning alerts flashed across multiple stations. Long-range temporal sensors, originally designed to monitor the fold drive, detected disturbances at the edge of Coalition space. Multiple signatures, Atlas reported. The patterns match both the ancient enemy ships and the Guardians who saved us. Dr. Zwei's crystalline form pulsed with concern. If both forces are returning, the Coalition could become a battlefield. Chen stood straighter. No, we were preserved for a reason. Earth saw something in humanity's future, a potential to unite, to inspire, to stand against threats that could tear the galaxy apart. We're not just survivors anymore. We're the warning system they put in place, Atlas interrupted, its tone urgent. The temporal disturbances are increasing. Based on current patterns, we have approximately 3 months before they reach Coalition space. Then we have work to do, Chen replied, turning to the Coalition scientists. Earth fell because it stood alone. That won't happen again. Her eyes held firm conviction as she looked at each face, human and alien alike. The real question is, what did the Guardians see in humanity's future that was worth preserving? And how do we live up to that potential? The temporal sensors continued their quiet warning, counting down to a confrontation centuries in the making. The Prometheus's massive manufacturing bay hummed with activity as human engineers worked alongside coalition scientists. Lieutenant Kira Wong stood at a central control station, orchestrating the organized chaos. Holographic displays showed dozens of projects combining human innovation with coalition expertise. "The quantum alignment is still off," she called, to a team working on a new shield generator. "Try thinking about it differently. Don't force the particles to align. Convince them they want to." Dr. Rills, her crystalline form gleaming under the bay's lights, paused her calculations. "That's not how quantum mechanics works," she began, then stopped as the readings stabilized. "That's impossible." Wong smiled. "Impossible just means we haven't found the right angle yet. That's what humans do best. We look at problems sideways." Across the bay, teams revolutionized medical technology, faster-than-light travel, and more. The Prometheus's fabrication systems worked overtime, producing prototypes that merged human creativity with coalition advancements. Captain Chen entered with High Counselor Vexa, showing her the progress. A group of young coalition scientists huddled around Commander Rivera as he explained adaptive engineering. "Your people move so quickly," Vexa observed, her tentacles moving in amazement. 3 weeks ago, these projects were theoretical. Now we're rebuilding the future," Chen finished. "The Prometheus isn't just a ship. It's a catalyst. Every species brings their own insights, their own way of seeing the universe. We're just helping them see how it all connects." At a nearby station, Dr. Rodriguez trained coalition medical staff on the ship's regeneration technology. "The key isn't the technology itself," she explained. "It's understanding how different species heal. We've adapted our systems to work with coalition physiology, but the breakthroughs came from listening to your doctors, learning how your bodies work." Atlas materialized, its avatar reflecting the bay's collaborative energy. "Captain, the first wave of hybrid technologies is ready for implementation. Coalition ships are reporting successful integration of our shield modifications." "The temporal sensors?" Chen asked quietly. "Still counting down," Atlas replied. 2 months, 4 days until the anomalies reach coalition space." Wong called them over to a central display. "But we'll be ready. Look at this. We've combined Luminar crystal technology with our quantum matrices. The power generation is off the charts, and that's just the beginning." The display showed dozens of completed projects, medical breakthroughs, defensive systems, communication advances, but more importantly, it showed coalition species working together in ways they never had before. "It's not just technology," Rivera noted, pointing to a young Acerodon scientist explaining their theory to a mixed group. 6 weeks ago, most coalition races worked separately. Now they're learning what humanity learned long ago," Chen said. "That our differences make us stronger. Every species sees the universe in their own way. Put those perspectives together, and you get miracles." Vexa's earlier skepticism was replaced with understanding. A soft alert chimed, and Wong pulled up the notification. "The quantum communication network is online. All coalition worlds connected instantly, regardless of distance." "Just in time," Atlas added. "Long-range sensors are detecting more temporal disturbances. Whatever is coming, it's drawn to our activity." Chen watched her crew, human and coalition alike, working with purpose and unity. "Good. Let them come. Earth fell because it stood alone, because the enemy struck before we could reach our potential. But they made one crucial mistake." "What's that?" Vexa asked. "They gave us time," Chen replied. "Time to prepare. Time to build. Time to show the Coalition what humanity does best: inspire others to reach beyond their limits. She touched a control, bringing up an image of Coalition space. We're not just building weapons or shields. We're building connections, understanding, unity. That's what they feared about humanity's future. Not our technology, but our ability to bring people together. In the depths of space, temporal disturbances grew, but on the Prometheus, in labs and workshops throughout Coalition space, a renaissance was blooming, one that would reshape the galaxy in ways the ancient enemy had feared and the Guardians had foreseen. The Prometheus's bridge hummed with focused energy as Captain Chen studied the tactical display. Temporal distortions rippled across Coalition space, heralding the approach of both ancient enemy and mysterious Guardians. But the Coalition was no longer what it had been 3 months ago. "Status report," Chen commanded, her voice steady. "Coalition defense grid is online," Rivera reported. "All 17 species fleets are integrated through our quantum network. We're as ready as we'll ever be." Atlas's avatar, refined by Coalition crystal technology, materialized. The Joint Species Academy has graduated its first class of hybrid technology specialists. Every Coalition world is now equipped with our combined defensive systems. Dr. Rodriguez's voice came through from the medical bay. "Emergency response teams are stationed throughout Coalition space. Whatever happens, we're prepared to handle casualties of any species." Chen nodded, then addressed the Coalition representatives on the bridge. The Prometheus had become a symbol of unity, a bridge between past and future. 3 months ago, we were strangers, out of time, carrying the last remnants of Earth. Now look at what we've built together. She gestured to the tactical display, showing Coalition space alive with activity. Not just technology, but understanding. Not just defenses, but connections. Matriarch Senna, her scales shimmering with anticipation, stood beside her. The enemy sought to prevent this future, one where species stand together, where innovation knows no boundaries. "Multiple temporal signatures detected," Wong called from her station. "Something's coming through." Space folded. As massive ships emerged from temporal rifts, the enemy vessels, with their impossible geometries, appeared first, dozens of them, unchanged since Earth's final battle. "They're targeting the quantum communication network," Rivera reported. "Trying to isolate our worlds, just like during the Great Collapse." "Not this time," Chen replied firmly. "All ships, execute Pattern Omega. Show them what unity looks like." The Coalition fleet moved as one, their formations flowing like liquid metal. Human tactical insights combined with Coalition coordination created a defense that was also a message. Then more rifts opened and the Guardian ships emerged, their technology still beyond understanding. Instead of engaging, they held position. "They're watching," Atlas announced, analyzing their patterns. "This is a test, not of our technology, but of our potential." The enemy fleet launched their first attack, reality-warping weapons, designed to shatter alliances and seed chaos. But where they struck, they found not individual species, but a unified response. Luminar crystal ships channeled energy through human quantum matrices. Aceradon temporal dampeners protected Aryan healing stations. Each species' strength covered another's weakness, creating an impenetrable web of cooperation. "They don't understand," Wong said, watching the battle unfold. "They see our differences as weaknesses to exploit, but that's what makes us strong." The enemy fleet's formation faltered as their tactics failed against this unified defense. This is what Earth saw, Chen realized, watching species work together in ways that seemed impossible months ago. Not just survival, but evolution. Not just resistance, but transformation. The enemy ships began to retreat, their impossible geometries twisting as they fled through their temporal rifts. The Guardian vessels remained, their presence a silent acknowledgement. "They'll be back," Rivera warned. "And we'll be ready," Chen replied. "Not just with technology, but with something stronger: unity forged through understanding. The Guardian ships transmitted a single signal before disappearing into their own rifts. Atlas decoded it instantly. The test is passed. The future is preserved. As the temporal distortions faded, the Prometheus hung in space, surrounded by the Coalition fleet. On its bridge, species that had once been strangers stood together as family. In the end, humanity's greatest technology hadn't been their weapons or shields. It had been their ability to inspire others to reach beyond their limits, to see differences as strengths, to forge unity from diversity. The stars seemed brighter, reflecting the dawn of a new era, an era born from the dreams of Earth, preserved through time, and realized in the combined strength of 17 species standing as one.